moving on to an event that's happening this weekend, Saturday Night's Main Event. It is the fourth Saturday Night's Main Event of this year. There will be 5 this year. They're kind of spaced out weirdly enough. I think the 5th one maybe was just created for the John Cena situation, because it seems like we had one in January, right? We had one in May. We had one in July. And now we're having one in the fall. But we're going to have another one in the fall, if you will. And it's weird because last year there was a Saturday Night's Main Event, I think, at the end of January. So are we going to get one in like February? There'll be like 3 in 3 months if that's the case. But we're getting one this weekend. It's Salt Lake City. It is Saturday Night's Main Event 51 overall in the chronological history of Saturday Night's Main Event. It is from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. And Brandon, I don't know if you know this, but it seems kind of strange. I picked up on this because I know this stuff, but I did actually do my research and make sure to look it up to be specific. But WWE has never held a big event in Salt Lake City, like a pay-per-view, a PLE. WCW never did either. Wow. There was no televised events in Salt Lake City, period, let alone this arena, the city itself, until the late 90s when they got a Nitro and they got a Thunder. There's been a few Raws and SmackDowns since then through the 2000s. But this will be the first big event. And I think that's strange because Salt Lake City's a decent city. I mean, because again, places like Buffalo, New York, Albany, New York, Hershey, Pennsylvania, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Scranton, Wilkes-Barre.
Well, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, I will say have it. I was alluding to places that have held pay-per-views.
Oh, okay.
But like Albany's had a pay-per-view. Buffalo's had a pay-per-view. Worcester, Mass has had a pay-per-view. Providence, Rhode Island's had a bunch. Hartford, Connecticut's had a pay-per-view. So, yeah, I'm not saying Salt Lake City's New York City. It never was. It never will be. But to not have a pay-per-view in a city that's has some of the 4 major sports teams in North America, I think it's got to be like the only one that's got one of the 4 major sports teams other than like Green Bay, Wisconsin, right? That's a thing in its own. But other than Green Bay, Wisconsin, well, Milwaukee, the city that it's most associated with, has had pay-per-views, many of them. But yeah, it's got to be one of the 4 major sports markets that's the only one that never have a pay-per-view. And it's not really having a pay-per-view per se this weekend. It's having a Saturday Night's Main Event, which obviously then creates that craziness of what is a PLE? Is this a PLE? Does this count as a PLE? Specifically now, because this will be the first one that's not on NBC. This is only in the United States on Peacock. It's on Netflix. Or sorry, it's not on Netflix. It'll be, I believe, on YouTube elsewhere. So I guess to a non-wrestling fan, Brandon, what would you categorize Saturday Night's Main Event? How would you explain it to them in the ether of where it sits in chronological order of like the ranking system, pay-per-view, PLE, televised event, non-televised event?
Honestly, I would put it as a premium live event because the difficulty in some ways, it's almost like going back in the day. Like you got to find it. You really have to find it this time. Yeah. Like before that, on these other pay-per-views, premium live events, you get on Netflix internationally, you get on Peacock, and then like on a Saturday Night's Main Event before, all the other ones have been on channel, for us locally, Channel 3, NBC, which is the big network, which you can just get on an antenna for free. So it's the accessibility is so different because, I don't blame the NBC group for that because, this is their way of kind of sticking their nose up at WWE for getting out of that deal, a little bit earlier with previous contracts. So they kind of were like, well, you guys want to stick it to us? We're going to stick it to you. And this is their way of sticking it to them. But I will say this, looking at the card itself, 4 great matches. To me, this could be titled Night of Champions because this is a night of championships, and it's going to be a good card overall.
Yeah, it is Peacock's way and NBC's way of saying, no, we're not just going to get you to cancel your Peacock subscription that quickly. But for those of you who have already canceled Peacock and maybe even got a VPN, obviously, if you have the VPN, you can obviously see it on YouTube in the places where you watch, because I imagine a lot of you are watching, like if in Canada or Mexico or other countries, London, you watch WWE PLEs now on Netflix. Well, then you can watch it in those markets on YouTube in this way. So, but for the North American audience who gets ESPN and thinks they can just get rid of Peacock because we don't need that no more, NBC says not so fast. Your Saturday Night's Main Events, you're going to need Peacock for it if you want to watch them here. So you got to have both. right? You can't have one or the other for the time being. With John Cena's big match coming up in about a month, obviously you got to hold on to your Peacock subscription in the United States. But like you said, 4 huge matches.
Yeah.
We talk about the vacant world championship match, Seth Rollins' injury. CM Punk that same night became the number 1 contender, the same night that Seth Rollins was intentionally attacked from the Vision. It was 1 week later that Jey Uso won himself that battle royal. He was in the triple threat. He lost in the triple threat to create the number 1 contender, but then won his own number 1 contender match the next week. Obviously a lot of stuff going on with him, in his place in the bloodline, like some Roman interactions lately, some Jimmy Uso interactions. Who do you see winning this match? Because I will tell you, I have difficulty in CM Punk winning it because I think obviously before the Seth Rollins injury, CM Punk's payoff to win the championship was going to be something like WrestleMania. And I think I feel like you still want to do that. You don't want to just say, okay, never mind. Let's just give you your WrestleMania finish right now. Your WrestleMania Night 2 finish today. And that's why I maybe see Jey Uso winning this match. What do you think?
I got Jey Uso as well, but I'm going to give you 2 different scenarios that could possibly happen in this match. If CM Punk wins, it's because Jimmy turns on his brother. That's what I could see. Now, on the other side of it, too, if it's not a clean finish, I could see Roman Reigns assisting Jey Uso, in the victory. So you could go both ways. I do think the way they're kind of, building Jey Uso and all this stuff around him, I think that kind of tall tales a sign to me that they're going to put the strap on him. And to be honest, that's fine because eventually it's got to go to LA Knight. That's where I'm at.
And, maybe this is kind of a long shot as well, but obviously with the whole Vision thing happening as the way it did and War Games coming up in a few weeks, do we maybe see Jey Uso win with the help of Roman and then all of a sudden the Bloodline gets together one more time for a War Games team to kind of fill in?
Possible.
Because obviously, Seth Rollins and his little group, right, is having the things going on. I know the group's still there without Seth Rollins, but you know what I mean? I feel like a storyline that was created around that obviously is having to be redirected. But again, CM Punk, if he was to win the title here, I just think it's a little less anticlimactic than if you just gave it to him at SummerSlam. Now, I understand SummerSlam had the payoff, Seth Rollins screwing CM Punk, and that's why we all, maybe like myself, thought this is going to finally build up to WrestleMania. They're finally going to have the one final match between these two, and CM Punk's going to finally win the main event of WrestleMania and become the champion once and for all. That's why I just don't think that they're going to give it to CM Punk in this fashion.
It's going to be Jay. It's going to be Jay.
Okay. We got Cody Rhodes and we got Drew McIntyre. This match has gone on now before. We saw this at, was it at WrestlePalooza, right? We saw Cody Rhodes beat Drew McIntyre cleanly.
Yeah, it was WrestlePalooza.
Drew McIntyre, obviously, out for revenge, not settling until he becomes, champion, coming after Cody Rhodes for this event. Do we see another clean finish for Cody Rhodes? I mean, what do we see different here?
I think we're going to see Cody Rhodes go dark, but I think he's going to go in a dark Cody Rhodes version. I still think he wins, but I think Drew's going to bring out that darkness in Cody Rhodes. But I do think Cody's going to retain.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cody's going to retain. I mean, I guess that would be if this is the main event and Drew McIntyre's go off the air. That would be the change. Maybe have Jey Uso win the belt, right? Because that's kind of the safe bet there. And then, But Drew McIntyre being the new champion that we're kind of really talking about after the show's over, that we're wondering what direction that's going to go in. That could be a case, but again, that's just change for change's sake. I think that's just shock for shock value. I think Cody Rhodes, again, He's the face that runs the place. He just came off the loss to Seth Rollins at the last pay-per-view in the Crown Jewel match. I think he defends the championship here in a TV-style defense. Because, again, this is a TV show. And, again, I guess it's different because it's on Peacock. So we wondered. We don't have the time restraints that we had before. I imagine it's not going to go much longer than anything like that. But that is an interesting thing to think about into how they format the show. Because, like you were mentioning, this isn't on NBC anymore. This is essentially like a PLE. Yeah. Wondering, exactly how that all works out, because we were used to the 2-hour dead set format, aka Goldberg getting cut off, as we saw before. Yeah. But moving on, we got two other championship matches. The women's championship, Jade Cargill is back. I think it's for the first time since SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. And she came out. She looked like she was going to be, defense for good, And then she turns on Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton was in a match with, Julia and Kiana Jordan and things like that, or Kiana James, if I'm not mistaken.
Kiana James, yeah.
Yes. I get a little confused there. Kaylani Jordan, Kiana James.
Yes.
But she came out, you know what I mean? She helped Tiffany Stratton win, fend off the heels, and then turned on Tiffany Stratton to set up this match. So we got a heel Jade Cargill. What do we see happening here?
Jade's taking the belt. That's what's happening. I think
she's finally getting her moment.
Yeah, I think she's finally going to get it. Of the matches that we're going to see an actual title change, because obviously CM Punk, Jey Uso, like obviously that's happening. Out of the 3 other matches, this one has the likeliest of likelihood, I should say, of a of a title change. And I think Jade Cargill, I think they're finally going to give her the keys. And here's the thing, Tiffany losing is not a bad thing for Tiffany. Like, that's not bad. Her record's pretty darn good this year. I think she's had 1 or 2 losses this year. So, like, in the calendar year, she's done a pretty damn good job. So, I
she
think
won the Crown Jewel Championship. She's the Crown Jewel champion.
Stephanie Vaquero won it.
You are correct. You are correct. You're right. So she actually didn't win that, which it was a big surprise. Stephanie Vaquero did win that. You are correct, because I remember they're thinking Stephanie Vaquero has accomplished a lot in a very short period of time when Tiffany Stratton has been the main champion all year.
That's her only loss this year, now that I think about it, because I believe Tiffany went and cut a promo recently. I don't know if it was on the most recent SmackDown or it was right after Crown Jewel, regardless, where she's like, yeah, it's only 1 loss. I have a great record. I've only lost 1 match this year. So I think it was 1. I think she's only lost 1. I think she's going to lose 2 after this weekend. I think Jade's due. It's not going to hurt Tiffany. She'll get back. She's going to be just fine. But I think it's Jade's time. It's Jade's moment for her to win.
Jade's been in the company now since Royal Rumble 2024. So just under 2 years she's been in the WWE. I think it's finally her time as well. As we move on to the final match, Dominic Mysterio is the Intercontinental Champion. He takes on Penta and Rusev, who were going after each other for the number 1 contendership recently on Raw. All the shenanigans came in to essentially make it a no contest kind of thing, and now set up the triple threat match where he has to face both Penta and Rusev. So kind of quickly, do we see Dominic Mysterio retaining? A lot of people obviously rumoring Dominic versus John Cena at Survivor Series for the IC belt.
I mean, I did mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I did mention that. So I guess by that theory, you know where I'm going with this. But to be honest, like, not even just taking the John Cena portion out of it, Dominic Mysterio has been probably the greatest Intercontinental Champion in the last few years, honestly. Like, he's been that good. It's been that entertaining. The fans are buying in. All the shenanigans, the Eddie Guerrero type stuff, it's been a lot of fun.
And in triple threat matches, there are no disqualifications, so we can have some of that El Grande Americano come out and help him this time around, because there's no DQs in triple threat.
Here's what I'll say about that. I think there's going to be some dirty Dom tricks, some shenanigans. Mm-hmm. I think something's going to happen with Rusev and Penta, and then essentially Dirty Dom's going to come in, do his sneaky thing, get the win, retain the title. I just, to me, Dirty Dom as Intercontinental Champion just has to happen. It has to stay longer because it's just that good right now.
One interest in this, it starts at 7 o'clock Eastern time, not 8 o'clock Eastern time.
I like it.
As did the previous Saturday Night's Main Events that were on NBC. So again, that kind of creates that interest of how this whole time frame and things are going to work out. But I'm interested to watch it. Hope it doesn't have to go up against Game 7 of the World Series, because that's not going to look good, right? You got Game 7 of the World Series on Fox, this on Peacock. What do you think is going to win in the ratings there? So hopefully it doesn't have to do any of that. But should be an interesting show going forward nonetheless.